Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And holy Heisenberg, what an episode! I mean, holy crap, people. You got two very interesting cinematics, all really revolving around the character development of one individual, which we'll get to. Two championship matches, both excellent in quality. An opener that furthered its own story. You know, to put it another way, I know we talked about recently in our latest Monday Night Raw TWitWoW review that there was a lot of stagnation and ill productivity. This was the antithesis of that. This episode went full throttle. I think it got a lot done. And considering that this is only, what, Ashton, a 26 or 29 episode season? We 26. Really don't have 26, so 7 episodes left. This was episode 19 tonight. Unreal. I can't even imagine what Ultimate Lucha 2 is going to be looking like with the main events we've been getting as of late. Just
I was going to say, yeah, technically 4 episodes left because then the last 3 are all Ultima Lucha.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So, brother, what did you think about tonight's episode?
Oh, I thought that tonight's episode was very good. I thought we had one excellent match, which was the main event, and then the 2 non-main event matches were both very good as well.
Oh, dude, those were excellent.
And even though we only had 2 sort of cinematic segments that were taking place backstage in the temple, we also had one, not necessarily cinematic, but still very character-driven sort of, I don't know if I want to call it a segment or what, but sort of something that happened that was very character-driven that was still out in the middle of the ring just after the end of a match that was awesome.
Well, I would just call it a character moment, you know, in that context, because
and
it
happened
in a match. It was huge, yeah, I completely agree. So with that said, dude, let's get right into our Lucha Underground review, and we have no cinematic here. We open up with a recap of all the things that are going to be highlighted tonight and getting everybody caught up. But then we go right to in-ring action. It's Daga. It's Son of Havoc. Ashton, what do you think of this opener?
This was such a good match. Like, Son of Havoc, I said it twice while we were live reacting, and I'm just going to say it one more time to really drill it in. Son of Havoc is spectacular. Every time he steps in the ring, you think, oh, I've seen everything Son of Havoc has done and can do, and then he goes and does something more.
Dude, I said it on live reactions. You were talking about a man that it's inevitable. He is going to be a Lucha Underground World Champion to me. I can't envision any other outcome for that man than winning that championship down the line, because he has a charisma about him, an ability about him in the ring, and to say he has a connection with the believers in the temple. Like, his character, his momentum-based offense is based off of feeding off of the energy of the temple. Like, the ultimate technico, dude, is Son of Havoc. It's just unreal. Really fun back and forth match. And again, you know, like I said about every match on this card tonight, does further a story. We have Cobra Moon come out, but it's not enough for Daga to get the win, Ashton.
No, sadly. I mean, Cobra, she tried. She did try to pull Son of Havoc off the top rope, but Son of Havoc has no shame and does not care what gender you are. If you try to screw him out of a match, he will screw you over first. And he kicked her right off the apron, and he ended up, you know, I don't think it was with that immediate sort of interaction, but he would eventually pull out the victory with his amazing shooting star press.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually glad that Son of Havoc got the win here. My predictions for him may have been incorrect this season, though there's still time if we do have a second Give to the Gods match, which we'll get I guess, more into that later.
I mean, it is looking less and less like it will happen, but, I mean, if you think about it, they could disperse the Aztec medallions. We could have 2 matches on 2 of the next 4 shows and 1 match, or I guess we would need to have 2 matches on 3 of the next 4 shows and then 1 match on the 4th, or we could just have 3 and then 1. I don't know. It seems like we're getting really into crunch time as far as these medallion matches go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they decide to do something different and have 1 or 2 medallion matches in one or both of the first 2 nights of Ultima Lucha, and then we still have the 7-way in the 2-hour live special. Or, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say live. It's not live that I know of. 2-hour special for the final episode.
That very well could be. It's going to be very interesting how they respond to this, not really having Gift of the Gods have a presence at Ultima Lucha 2, potentially.
Right. I'm just saying maybe there's like a really big match building up. Like maybe we get Daga versus Cobra Moon. That's a big enough match to warrant an Ultima Lucha spot, but maybe they put a medallion up for grabs in that match as well.
Yeah, just to incentivize it just a little bit more.
But then, it's at Ultima Lucha. We have a medallion match at Ultima Lucha, and maybe that's the 6th or 7th medallion, so that on episode 26 for that 2-hour special, we can have our 7-way Gift of the Gods match.
Right. I get what you're saying. And that very well could be. And speaking of Daga and Cobra Moon, the post-match, Cobra Moon, I guess, tries putting the moves on Daga, and Daga again rebukes her advances, violently just, shoves her down. Now I'm going to ask you, Ashton, you and I, we've unpacked many Lucha Underground storylines in this show's history. Do you think Daga's going to come around on Cobra Moon? What do you think this relationship's going to become? Because in Lucha Underground, I've always known to expect the unexpected. So.
Yeah, I mean, no means no, right? He was clearly rejecting her advances after this match was over.
And yet, as you pointed out in live reactions, he was getting booed for it. So could it be possible Daga is the Rudo here?
No, of course not. No, he's not the Rudo.
Well, I mean, depends on who you ask, man, because I agree with why you're saying he's not, right? I mean, in all seriousness, I get why you're saying that, and I agree. But that crowd was not having it at all, dude.
Well, I mean, the crowd was just angry at Daga for turning down a hot lady's advances, but that doesn't mean that he's a bad guy.
Well, I'm curious to see what'll become of this. I mean, you actually said something interesting in live reactions that I want to explore a little bit in a non-comedic way. I want to treat it seriously. You said that it could be like almost a power dynamic of sorts, like a dom and a sub kind of thing, a relationship predicated on power almost.
Well, I think that's how Cobra Moon sees it, but I don't think Daga wants anything to do with it, man.
Yeah, but I think, you know what, it could be where maybe, if he just allows her help, he starts seeing it translate into success, and even though Cobra Moon is one interpretation of the relationship, Daga has another, and that could lead to future conflict down the road. I could see that happening. I could see him outright manipulating her for his own ends, or I could see, like we were talking about, you reverse engineer the Marty the Moth Sexy Star storyline, and you have Daga ultimately in the captivity of Cobra Moon. And you do just a complete reversal of roles there, which I think, again, would be very interesting to play with. So, I mean, what do you think the end game of all this is?
I'm not going to try and, predict what I think is going to happen, but I will say what I hope happens is just that, the reverse Marty Sexy Star situation, where come the season's end, we get maybe Daga wins Gift of the Gods, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he has a big deal match that he loses at Ultima Lucha, and then those closing minutes where we get these big teasers for next season, which was actually one of my favorite parts about season 1 and about Ultima Lucha even. The idea of Cobra Moon having him maybe even knocked out because of the venom,
Yeah, I like that play on the character too. Nice touch, dude.
I mean, yeah, because Marty had Sexy Star wrapped in a cocoon, right?
Right, very true.
I think you would be getting repetitive if you would have Cobra Moon with Marty or with Daga wrapped in a snake skin sleeping bag or something corny.
Yeah.
But if you just have him knocked out, and you could kind of imply that maybe she used a syringe and drugged him or something like that, or maybe you show. His hand was holding a drink until he passed out and it fell out of his hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of thing. I just think that there are interesting things that you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think there's a lot of potential there to tell a really compelling story. And knowing Lucha Underground, they'll do just that, so they have my complete confidence. But is there anything else you want to say about this opener and the subsequent post-match interaction?
No, the post-match was really the really interesting part. I mean, obviously the match was great, but the post-match was really interesting to me just because Cobra Moon was being so forward with Daga and so, forcing herself on him almost, and it kind of had a rapey vibe, which is rare to see when it's the female being the aggressor.
Right, and I do like that they're telling that story, right? And I just think, when you change the dynamic, it just feels new again,
I just want to know, if she has an ulterior motive, or if it's just as simple as she's attracted to him, and she's a snake, so she doesn't really have that, like, you know, maybe I should be normal about this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we'll see, man.
She doesn't have a super ego.
Yeah.
She's just pure id, man.
Yeah, so she's just purely letting her, kind of feelings and stuff dictate her maneuvers and everything, not really putting much thought, just like, yeah, I'm just going to go with it. Just very interesting to me. But
you know how sometimes, like, if somebody's trying to explain basic psychology, they'll say that you have a reptile brain, a mammal brain, and then a primate brain.
Right.
Well, the reptile brain is saying, I need to have sex, I need to eat, I need to survive. And then the mammal brain is saying, oh, well, maybe there are certain luxuries that I can appreciate. And then the primate brain is, I like these luxuries, but I should probably be polite about things too. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And Cobra Moon just has nothing above the reptile brain. Like, she's
exactly
just pure. It's in psychology they call it an id. Your id, your ego, and your super ego. And she has no ego or super ego. She's just pure id.
Right.
So, oh man, we're getting into freaking psychology 101 on TWitWoW. Anyway, up next we had an amazing backstage cinematic. Rey Mysterio working the punching bag, and then El Dragon Azteca Jr. approaches him, tells him that he found the cell where the Matanza is being kept in, and Rey is very apprehensive about this. He kind of cautions Azteca Jr. about, we really don't want to go after the monster yet. We need to worry about the match for the trios titles, and Azteca Jr. is all about getting revenge, and Rey's just like, no, you can't do this with revenge in your mind. You need to do this with justice in your mind. He didn't actually say that, but that's kind of how we could interpret it, what he said. And then Puma shows up, and things pick up a little bit.
Yeah, because Puma is just like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but we got a trios championship match.
And it's worth noting, from what I kind of got from it, Rey wanted Puma to leave immediately. Like, Puma shows up, and Rey's just like, dude, you need to get out of here. We're busy. We're doing something here.
Right, and he puts his hand on Puma, and Puma growls at Rey.
And Puma was just like, look, man, you're my trios partners. Your business is my business.
Exactly.
And it feels so weird to be saying lines that were said by Prince Puma.
I know, right? Because he's still only talking, very minimally.
This is only the second time he's ever spoken.
Yeah, dude. Unreal.
And he's so much more vocal even in the ring now, too. Because even, like, before his first speaking bit on the rooftop when they were first joining each other as a team, he never even spoke in the ring.
Right.
And now that he's speaking, he's also speaking in the ring and kind of doing some trash talk and stuff, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I love this character progression that Puma's having. And speaking of character progression, what do we think about this struggle that El Dragon Azteca Jr. is having between, the darkness of, I need revenge, I want revenge for our master, and Rey Mysterio just telling him, no, there's a better way, revenge doesn't lead to anything but, bad things. I mean, what do you think about that?
Dude, I love it, because it really does play off of the idea that Azteca Jr. is very naive. He's very sort of... I don't know another word to describe it other than naive. He's got this sort of warped idea of what justice is, and it's kind of the idea of justice that you kind of learn watching, like, television as a kid and movies and stuff, but that's not really necessarily how the world works. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, like, he's got sort of a warped view of the world. He's still young. He's still naive. He still has a lot to learn. Juvenile. That's another good word that I could use. And Rey is kind of like this veteran, sort of experienced, wise character who knows better, but it's really hard to explain to somebody that doesn't want to hear advice how something should be happening.
Final question for you as far as that dynamic goes. Is this going to be a story of redemption or futility for Rey Mysterio? Is he going to be able to help El Dragon Azteca Jr. and El Dragon Azteca Jr. going to be able to redeem himself and conquer that darkness in his heart, or is he going to succumb to it?
I think this is going to be a story of bitterness. I think El Dragon Azteca Jr., he's kind of alienating Rey. He's alienating Puma. He has already basically, and we'll talk about this later, alienated Black Lotus. It's going to get to a point where he feels like it's him against the world. And when you get backed into a corner like that, it's fight or flight. And he doesn't strike me as the type to fly away.
I mean, I'll just come out and say it. I think El Dragon Azteca Jr., if he doesn't commit to it by this season, because I know there's only a little bit left, by season 3, I think he'll be full-blown Rudo. I sense a Rudo turn coming for him. I don't think he'll be able to conquer this kind of darkness in him of, oh, it's revenge, because he even told Ray, he looked right at Ray, because Ray said at one point to him in this segment, this isn't what our master would have wanted, and he just shot back, how would you have known what he would have wanted? So, like, he's really struggling with, Ray is trying to mentor me and he's trying to guide me on a good path, but my master's dead, and I need a pound of somebody's flesh. You know what I mean?
This feels so much like Anakin Skywalker and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I'm thinking El Dragon Azteca Jr. He is just gonna spit in Ray's face, and he's going Rudo. That's my prediction. So we'll see.
You know what, though? All I can say about that prediction is I really, and I don't think it's gonna happen, sadly, but I really hope Puma resigns.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. I mean, should we even talk about it now, or when it becomes more reality? Because
that's just the thing, though, is like I kind of had this sort of first impression of El Dragon Azteca Jr. that he could be that new, like, top face champion main event level guy to replace Puma after Ricochet's contract runs out. But now you're making a lot of sense with all this talk of the potential of Dragon Azteca being a Rudo, but then, like, what's gonna fill that void if Puma leaves, man?
And, I don't want Puma to leave, obviously, because I mean, look, let's just be pretty blunt and candid about it. We know where he's going if he leaves. Like,
no,
NXT's been gobbling up people.
He's gonna get lost in the shuffle.
And I believe he will, because here's the thing. Ricochet is a freaking amazing athlete. I am not trying to denigrate that man or what he does. Lord knows I don't have the right to. I just think he is so much more colorful and charismatic and impactful as Prince Puma. Like, that's his career to me. That's where he's left the biggest impression thus far, is as Prince Puma, and I don't want to see him give that up. And nobody does. Like, the way, guys, if you've ever watched even one live reaction with us where Prince Puma's on the show, you would know how much Ashton loves Prince Puma. Like, he has come out and said, like, Prince Puma is like my guy on Lucha Underground, my favorite guy. And you even said on tonight's live reactions, you think he's the best in the world, period. You didn't even want to water it down. You even told me, don't water it down. Best, period. I don't want to see him walk away from that. And I think also, and not that Lucha Underground couldn't handle it, but it does, again, the question you just posed. What do you do if you're going to do a Rudo turn with El Dragon Azteca Jr.? The only reason I don't think they will, Rey Mysterio always seems to have these stories where he does kind of conquer the darkness, even in WWE. So I think he will ultimately pull El Dragon Azteca Jr. back to the darkness, but maybe not right away. So maybe the Rudo turn won't even be that long. I don't know, man. With Lucha Underground, it's always up in the air, but El Dragon Azteca Jr. is so good. I wonder how we would even work a Rudo style. I'm kind of intrigued by that. So,
here's the thing: he could be so vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want to see it, but what I am saying is I don't want to be without that type of character in Lucha Underground. And if Puma leaves, and then Azteca Jr. turns Rudo, we're going to be completely without that kind of character, and it's going to just destroy me.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's the thing, because, and I'm not saying there aren't other, like, amazing technicals, but because if you look at the response that Cage has been getting lately, and I've always spoken the world of Son of Havoc, and Pentagon even, who's just of a different temperament altogether, I'm not saying that it would be difficult to fill the void that Prince Puma left, but, I mean, who really would be your top technical, the technical, when he leaves? Because I feel like he has that spot right now, right? Yeah. But then when he leaves, there's that vacancy.
And, I mean, you could say maybe Cage, but that's a completely different kind of technical.
Yeah, he's a totally different breed. I'm talking somebody like, and the closest, honestly, probably would be a Son of Havoc, if you want my opinion.
It probably would have to be, and I hope he sticks around for, ever, too. But
my God, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, even then, it's kind of different then, because even though, he is that kind of awesome, badass babyface, he's not the aerial, amazing, crazy guy like Puma and Azteca Jr. are.
And I think another difficulty, and I'm you know what? I'm actually glad we're talking about this whole Ricochet thing now, because I knew sooner or later we'd talk about it, and I always felt kind of sad putting it off. But, like, Lucha Underground really has built their brand around that. I mean, you're talking first ever Lucha Underground champion, first ever main event on episode 1. And like
First ever main event on Ultima Lucha.
First ever main event on Ultima Lucha. Like, Prince Puma is Lucha Underground.
Yep.
You know, and like, he's the Hulk Hogan, he's the Rock, whatever, like, analogy, parallel, whatever you want to make. Like, he's that. That's his role. It's going to be a blow. It's going to be a major blow if he leaves. I don't want him to. You don't want him to. I mean, that goes without saying. And if he does, I mean, the only intrigue that I have about his departure, to be perfectly honest, would be the narrative possibilities. How do you handle that? Because we've seen the comics and how they've held with other departures.
Well, and that's kind of what worries me about tonight, because we kind of saw a dark side in Puma after, well, to end and the post match that maybe is kind of leading him down a path of self-destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a story. Isn't it funny, Ashton, that when you and I did the Lucha Rewatch series, or actually, no, I think it was our Spotlight, and we may have touched upon it in Rewatch as well, I was all gung-ho about, like, a Puma redemption story. Oh, he's going to climb back. He's going to go on this, like, this walkabout almost, you know, spiritual awakening and get back the title. And now it just seems like totally antithetical to that, because it just seems like he's going down in the muck now.
We wanted a Vision Quest.
That's what we wanted, damn it. But what are they going to give us in its place? Like, I don't know, Ashton. I mean, you really introduced the whole, like, Ricochet thing and this and that. Do you have anything you want to punctuate it with, or any other thoughts you want to get out there? Because I know we've kind of really gone pillar to post here.
Well, I mean, we're already talking about this backstage segment. Let's just transition into the match itself. We've got the Lucha Trinity taking on the newly dubbed aerial assholes.
Wait, is that a TWitWoW thing, or is that confirmed?
That is a TWitWoW and Jack Evans approved Twitter thing.
Yes! We're going with it because I fucking love it. All right. I know that any Johnny Mundo match, I always get so giddy, so I'll allow you to go first. What did you think of this match?
This was a fun match. It wasn't anywhere close to as good as the first one, but I don't think it was meant to be. It was still really fun. We had a lot of awesome spots happening. I think that the sort of the star of this match specifically was Puma.
I would have to agree, because he had the character moment. You know,
and Puma, it's funny because I called Puma the MVP of that first match for being able to kick out of all of the offense that he did.
I know, dude.
And then he was the MVP of this one too, because of the character moment that he had to finish the match and then after the match was over.
Oh, dude. I mean, first of all, do you have any other thoughts you want to say? Because I know, again, with these types of matches, I can blather on. I want to make sure you got everything off your chest right now. Are you good?
Well, we'll get to the post-match after you're done blabbering, so blabber.
Okay.
Away.
First of all, love the entrance of the champions with all the Mundo glasses and the bandanas.
Yes, that was amazing, dude. Their look is so good.
Dude, I love it. You love it. Everybody loves it. And guys, just to clarify, and I know I don't need to because you guys are the best fucking fans in the world, but it's not just because of Johnny Mundo. Like, PJ Black and Jack Evans are freaking amazing. In fact, I was a fan of Jack Evans from the debut, so, you know, no hating going on for either of those guys. And PJ Black, he's made me a fan all over again. I'm reminded now how good he is thanks to Lucha Underground.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I always really loved PJ Black back when he was Justin Gabriel as a babyface, but I never really thought that he was going to be this entertaining as a Rudo.
Oh, dude, so fucking good. Oh my god. So, yeah, and honestly, that's pretty much all the bragging I do want to do about this guy. I mean, yeah, they had great heel tactics, don't get me wrong. The moment of the match, honestly, though, oddly enough, goes to Prince Puma.
Damn right it does.
Because freaking this motherfucker.
He's so strong.
Dude, like, I've seen Brock Lesnar do shit. I've seen I've seen all those guys. You throw a name, I've seen it.
Well, yeah, but look at the body type difference between those guys and
that's just my point, though, right? Like, you think of those guys, oh, yeah, of course they're going to be not big and strong, and yeah, all that stuff. Puma gets Jack Evans in, like, the back, almost looking like a Blue Thunder Bomb kind of position, catches him in that position.
Catches him almost like he's cradling a baby at first.
Exactly. Transitions just pure power into the fireman's carry position, and then hits the sickest Benadryller I think I've personally ever seen.
You know, it's really easy to hit the sickest insert move name here you've ever seen when Jack Evans is the one receiving it.
That's true.
He's so good.
His ass off. Yeah. Jack Evans, honestly, and I know he's a champion, so it may be like a weird phrasing, but like, I still think to a degree he's probably one of the most underrated people in the temple, because I don't know if people really know just how good that man is. Like, it's insanity. So yeah, Puma with that feat of strength, holy fuck. Like, my mouth actually dropped when we were recording. That was great. And then we get the finish, which I think is poetry. Ashton, what happened here?
Well, as we know, the aerial assholes really like to use their low blows. But the thing is, when they do the low blows, they're perfectly legal because they never do them when the referee is able to see them doing them, right?
Exactly.
Well, Prince Puma is clearly sick and tired of this happening, and he thinks that it's time for a change. He's as angry as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore. And he does a low blow to... Who did he do it to?
Mundo.
Right in front of the ref.
Right in the balls.
Right in front of Marty Elias, man.
Which, first of all, was perfect, not only on the level of, oh, the Rudos all get away with it the one time the Técnico does it, it's the DQ, but the idea that Puma's done it to his longest-standing rival in Johnny Mundo. Like, that moment just worked on every level. And, you know, after that, out of the DQ, and you've got Ray and Azteca just thinking, like, man, you know, what's going on? You know, what are you doing? He wants more because he's still like egged on. I think the Rudos are like, hey man, what the hell are you thinking? What the fuck was that? Puma goes for a super kick. I think on PJ Black, you noted Ashton live reactions, doesn't get PJ Black. He gets Taya. Yep. Lays Taya, which by the way, shout out to Taya at the Taya, I think Valkyrie AAA on Twitter, because I actually said afterwards, I tweeted out that Puma should be fined immediately, and then Taya responded to me, she was like, pay up, so I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So she gets laid out, and what I love about this too, and not just because it was Johnny Mundo, but again, when you look at the history, Johnny Mundo, dude, has this look on his face.
No, that's right. No, dude, Puma was going for a super kick on Mundo.
Oh, it was on because Mundo was already down. I didn't know if he was trying to super kick Black because I didn't. No. Mundo didn't get back up to his feet.
Yeah, so. He was. All of the aerial assholes were on their feet and they were egging on Puma. Puma goes for a super kick on Mundo. Mundo backs out and it ends up hitting Taya.
Right.
And the reason that I remember that is because I remember thinking, oh my god, Taya has got to be so sick of Mundo's shit by now. This is like the 4th time she's taken a shot for him.
But he didn't even, like, do a kind of push her in front kind of thing, right? It was just really an honest miss.
Right. Well, right. I mean, he got out of the way, but still, like, this has got to be at least the 4th time that somebody was trying to do something to Johnny that ended up getting done to Taya instead.
Look, I mean, this is exactly like I explained to Taya on Twitter. You know, it's not her fault and it's not Mundo's fault. It's not anybody of the aerial assholes. This is what happens when you associate with regular people. It's like when you mix your lights and your darks when you're washing clothes. You know, nothing good can come from it. This is what happens when you associate with normies. Prince Puma should have known better. It was absolutely atrocious behavior, and he should be ashamed of himself. But I will also say
I don't think he's ashamed of himself because I don't think he has any problem with the fact that he kicked Taya. I don't think he minds.
No, I don't think he minds either because he just promptly left. He was like, well, that was my fuck you for the evening.
Yeah.
And he walked out. But again, like, I just loved how Mundo sold it. Just looking right at Puma like, what's happened to you? Like, oh, man.
Dude, I just loved the intensity that he brought here, though. And, like, when Ray was trying to hold him back and Jack Evans started talking, he went after Jack Evans with the flaming fury of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, dude.
That was so cool. And the great thing, too, is that, like, Puma was even holding his own in the match because early on in the match itself, there was an exchange where it was Puma and 2 of the aerial assholes, and Puma got the upper hand on 2-on-1.
Right.
Like, he was doing so well in the match, and then because of all of these low blows that the aerial assholes were getting away with, Puma just had enough and decided to be like, screw you, ref. Disqualify this. And
Ashton, I got to field one more question your way as it relates to this match and the character development of Puma. Could we potentially be looking at Prince Puma versus Rey Mysterio for Ultima Lucha 2? Seemed like quite a bit of tension between those guys.
Where did that come from?
Well, just because Ray put his hand on Puma and Puma growled and and Ray was trying to hold him back. I mean, I know Ray's primary relationship is with El Dragon Azteca, but I don't know. Do you think Puma could be picking any more fights with these guys in subsequent weeks?
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I don't know, man. That just seems weird to me.
We'll see. I mean, Puma's going. He's frustrated, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
And
he's clearly frustrated, but I don't know if he's frustrated enough to lash out at Ray.
But and see though, I mean they do have that relationship as well though, because it was really Ray that found Prince Puma, right? And they just turned him over to Conan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They could tell that story maybe, but again, I personally think obviously Ray's primary concern and everything is El Dragon Azteca Jr. But I think Puma with this attitude, he's slated to have a really big match.
Well,
at
and
Ultima
I mean
Lucha 2.
that's an option too. I mean, one technique that really well-written TV shows will take with characters whose contracts they know are going to be running out and they don't want to renew is they will kind of make them into this like irredeemable character that the fans of the show don't even want to see anymore. So maybe they do want Puma to be sort of like this irredeemable, like lost in the darkness kind of character.
So do you think that's going to be the way they slowly phase Puma out of the program, or?
I don't want them to phase Puma out of the program at all because I want him to be around forever, but if they do feel like Puma is not going to re-sign and they don't think that that's a possibility, then that would be a really smart way to handle it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's, wow.
Good luck! Okay, here's the thing, though. Good luck making me not want to see Puma anymore. I doubt it's going to happen.
I know. Yeah, I didn't think the conversation would get this heavy tonight, but there you have it, guys. I mean, I think a lot more may be riding on this than at first glance. So, any other comments you want to make, or can we move on?
Up next was another backstage cinematic thing with El Dragon Azteca. He shows up in the jail area where Matanza's locked up. Black Lotus shows up behind him and asks him what he's doing, tells him that she can't let him do whatever he was going to do. And then he says, why are you protecting him? You know he killed your parents, right? And then she says that he didn't kill my parents, El Dragon Azteca did. And then they have like a little fist fight block match thing, and Azteca Jr. just kind of leaves.
Yeah, and again, like so many questions about El Dragon Azteca Jr. I mean, this particular set kind of ropes in Black Lotus as well. Like, is she going to – because really she hasn't really had a major impact on this season. Like, I feel like her impact overall has significantly diminished. I'm not even saying that like in an insulting way.
I think it's a shame, honestly.
I do too, to a degree.
I was expecting big things from Black Lotus this season, and honestly, I kind of even want to see her get in the ring and fight somebody, but there's just nothing going on with her.
But you gotta wonder, though, if Lucha Underground is keeping their cards close to their chest on this one.
I think we've seen her a grand total of 4 times so far this season.
Because, dude, it just seems odd to me that they have her so prominent in the first season, and they're really downplaying her this season. I mean, even with Chavo, where a similar argument could be made, he just got done doing something really nice, at least in my view, with Cage. And even though that wasn't the biggest thing in the world, it was still something. Like, Chavo is officially now a champion in Lucha Underground in the record books. So I have to wonder, are they holding out something for Black Lotus? And just thinking, like, are they playing some kind of a long con or slow burn or something? Or is it just, I don't know, maybe they are spinning their wheels and they want more of the focus, more of the character development to be on El Dragon Azteca Jr. right now, and then maybe they'll come back to Black Lotus later. But, it's just really interesting to see how much in the background she's kind of faded into this season, considering how much of the forefront she was at the prior season.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of a shame with her because when she first showed up, she really had this sort of power behind her where, like, the first time that we really saw her interact with anybody, because she was showing up to watch matches quite often, and it was kind of building up to the point where she really confronted Dario Cueto, and she got up in his face and she said, I'm looking for Matanza. And of course he's, I don't know what you're talking about. But then to see her like kind of have that ambition to go to Matanza's cell and confront him personally and be like, I've always wanted to be the person who kills you with my own 2 hands. And then she gets abducted by Azteca Senior and trained, and she's like this alpha female, but then she shows up, gets abducted, gets put in the cell next to Matanza, and now all of a sudden she's like super submissive towards Cueto. Like Cueto kind of controls her at this point. It's just weird.
I mean, could it be that Black Lotus, and I mean, wouldn't surprise me at all, don't get me wrong, but maybe she's kind of holding her own secrets close. Maybe she's playing her own game and we don't know it. Because I agree with you. It's such an oscillation to make when you're so powerful and this and that, and then you go to be so submissive the next. It's not natural. You know what I mean? Like, the only way I could buy it is if there was some kind of ulterior motive or some kind of plan in mind. Like, okay.
The only other thing that I could think of is if she's just that scared of Matanza and what he can do.
And that could be.
That's the only legitimate justification I can think of, because if she's just that scared of Matanza, that would be a really good reason for her to want to kind of cozy up next to Cueto and be almost like his freaking lapdog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because I certainly don't disagree with you, but I wonder how I'd feel about that if they made it like explicitly known, like, oh, Black Lotus is in a state of inaction just because she has this like paralysis of fear because of Matanza. Because again, when we go back to the first season and constructing those parallels, she had like this Avenger vibe about her, like, my parents are killed, I'm coming to take revenge, and it was badass. And I think we even made references, even though I know I haven't seen the movies, maybe you saw like Volume 1 or whatever, but we made those Kill Bill comparisons, is what it felt like. Yep. Like, she's gonna come in and she's gonna wreck shop. And now to see her be like, oh, I'm just standing post at the door, or I'm keeping watch over the cage occasionally, like, it just doesn't feel. I think there's something more going on here. Maybe that's just because I want there to be something more going on, but it doesn't feel right.
I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what you are thinking of, what you're kind of hoping ends up happening, and that is that Black Lotus was some kind of like sleeper agent the whole time, and she's going to turn on Dario and cause Matanza to be the lose his title for the first time.
And that very well could be.
Is that what you're hoping to happen, though?
I mean, not.
Is that kind of your best case scenario with Black Lotus?
I mean, I guess not in so many ways, but yeah, I think you got the essence of what I'm driving at. Just, I was biding my time, and now I've got you where I want you. Now I'm gonna beat your ass.
Maybe. You know what would be my perfect scenario with her?
What's that?
She discovers that the power to controlling Matanza is in that key, and she finds a way to steal it from Cueto.
Oh, and then she doesn't kill Matanza. She wields Matanza.
Yeah. Oh, see, now that is a story I could get behind.
Oh, my God.
Because it's very clear that the key controls Matanza. I'm surprised nobody else has figured that out yet. Like, I'm waiting for Katrina to figure it out, since she seems to be one of the smartest characters in the temple.
You know what I want to, and this will be my closing note, and if you have anything you want to add, you can do so, or we can move on. Seeing as how we've really covered how little attention's been paid to Black Lotus, if there is a new slew of Lucha Underground comics, I would either like a comic, A, that either fills in any of the gaps that we might have missed, because, that's always possible, or B, I would like to see a comic that really details her becoming, at least initially, this Avenger. Like, we see the death of her parents, we see her reaction to it. Like, I want more Black Lotus-centric content, personally.
Yeah,
and I think the
you know what I'd like to see?
What's that?
I'd like to see the time that she spent in the cage next to Matanza and what caused her to kind of realize what was going on. Because she spent all that time in that cage next to Matanza, and we saw her maybe twice that entire time, and out of those 2 times, the second time was her getting let out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she got put in that cage next to Matanza. We didn't see her for like 6 weeks, it seemed like. And then the next time we saw her, she killed El Dragon Azteca Sr. and left with Cueto because she started a war.
That's not a bad idea either, Ashton. Yeah, I just think we need something Black Lotus-centric to kind of just bring us back.
Fill in the gaps, please!
Yeah, definitely. So, anything else you want to say?
Let's move on to our main event.
Sweet buttery Jesus, this match. What'd you think of it, dude?
I'm sorry. Sweet buttery Jesus just gets my funny bone every time.
Yeah, like when you say pecker, that gets my funny bone.
Oh, man. This was a great match, though. Like, I would say top 3, maybe 4 at worst.
Yeah.
Of the year. Like, not just necessarily in Lucha Underground, but of the year.
Oh, well, I explicitly told you when the show went off the air, like, this is going on my match of the year list, which I also admitted needs some much tending to, because I haven't updated it in
I'm trying to decide
while.
If I like this match more or less than Aztec Warfare 2.
Honestly, I'd have to go back and rewatch Aztec Warfare 2 just to really get, like, in the most immediate, because I don't want to suffer from recency bias.
Yeah, it's a tough call for me, though, because, like, man, Aztec Warfare 2 was so good. And immediately when that match is over, I said, okay, that's it. That's my match of the year. And I had that same gut reaction after No Mas. I said, okay, I loved Aztec Warfare 2, but that was the match of the year. After this, I can't decide if it was better than Aztec Warfare 2 and it was the second best match of the year so far, or if it was not quite as good as Aztec Warfare 2 and it's the third best match of the year so far. And then if I would have to put it down at 3, then I would have to compare it to Okada Tanahashi from Wrestle Kingdom 10.
Right.
Yeah, it's just tough to compare matches that are all so different because we're looking at a women's death match, basically, a Clash of the Titans style big man match, a 20-man battle royal, and a story-based match where you go like a 30 minutes with technical wrestling and awesome, crazy, like psychological spots. You know what I mean? Like completely different styles. It's so hard to judge them, comparing them to each other. But right now, I'm pretty confident in saying No Mas is still my match of the year. I'm just not sure what's the runner-up right now.
What were some of your favorite moments in this match?
Oh my God, the German suplexes.
Oh, that spot, dude.
All of them. I think there were 6 total because it was Cage first, then Matanza, then Cage again, then Matanza again, then Cage again, and then Matanza's final suplex to Cage. He kind of did that like little extra swing on the German on like the down swing, and then up, and that put them both out for a little bit.
Dude, this match did so many crazy. I love the energy. I love
the fact that Cage literally pulled the mats up off the ground on the outside to use.
That was great.
The right before that, the power bomb to the guardrail.
Yeah. I mean, dude, here's the thing, and I just want to set the record straight on something. Like, anytime anybody's in a feud with Mundo, I am going to be 10 million % pro Mundo. But let's make no mistake, I love Cage's work. I think when you look like he does, and yet you can do what he does in the ring, it's not even fair. Like, it's people like Cage that just make me kind of sigh and go, well, why bother? Because they're always going to be a thing. This motherfucker opens the match in, like, the first few moments, does a Hurricane Rana. Yeah, you heard that right. This guy with these bulging muscles in places where I don't even have places.
This 300-plus pound human being, I can't even English right now,
does a Hurricane Rana, and not just like, and here's the thing, Ashton, I really feel the need to emphasize because they're like, oh, Hurricane Rana, so what? It was probably sloppy. No, it looked freaking great. Like, I mean,
can we just talk about the fact that he's over 300 pounds and he pulled off a Rana?
Yeah.
Like, John Cena is only about 235, maybe 240 at most, and he can't even do a Rana properly.
Yeah, what's your excuse, bitch?
And they're the same height. They're both 6'1".
Dude, like I said,
Cage is like 30% denser than John Cena, and he did a Hurricane Rana. And it was proper, and it looked good.
Yeah, and thank you for adding that, because I really want to emphasize, it was proper and beautiful in form.
Yeah.
Like, again, people like Cage just make me want to give up. Like, why?
Like,
why try?
Let's see freaking Mark Henry or like Ryback do a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
Because that's the weight class Cage is in.
Yeah, let's see Mark Henry and Ryback do a Hurricane Rana contingent on them, not injuring themselves.
Right. I guess Mark Henry is probably in the 400s, so I think Ryback is the more appropriate. Let's see Rusev do it. Let's see Bray Wyatt do it.
Honestly, I'll be honest. If anybody can match Cage, although I'd still give Cage like inching him out, it probably would be Rusev because Rusev has an athleticism I don't think enough people appreciate. But that's it.
Rusev's athletic, but he's not Hurricane Rana athletic. Come on, man.
I mean, that's why I said I'd still probably give the edge to Cage in the end, but I think that's his closest competition is Rusev. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Probably. Like, it's just ridiculous, though.
Dude, the athleticism just off the fucking. And then he picks up Matanza in a powerbomb position, powerbombs him against the guardrail. All right, so he's just like beasting through him. But then Matanza.
I wanted to see a Weapon X so bad tonight.
Dude, I think you and everybody, even I did. And again, that's why I really wanted to clarify. I am a fan of
the only other option that I was really kind of hankering to see was a Steiner screwdriver. That would have been amazing.
Dude, on a guy like Matanza, what imagery. Oh my god.
I don't even know if that would be safe.
And dude, I gotta give credit to one person who tweeted, I believe it was Mount Lucha, who I know interacts with probably both of us regularly. I know he has me.
He's a good dude. I like that guy.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool dude. You guys should all follow him, look him up. he had a great observation, and that's another thing too. I think this match even told it better. Like, so I was so engrossed with the action, right, and the back and forth and the dropping of the bombs, metaphorically speaking, right hands and suplexes, all that stuff. Cage, when he has that flurry towards the tail end of the kicks, and he's teasing another discus lariat, he looks at the crowd and he, plays to the crowd. And Matt Lucha said, like, that's the one opening you gave Matanza, which shows you how legit Matanza is. Because he can expend all this energy to try and survive. And believe me, Cage took Matanza, guys, to the limit.
To the limit, yeah.
And yet he still had the awareness to survey the situation and say, okay, he's given me an opening. Bam! Catches Cage, Wrath of the Gods, which still is a move that nobody's kicked out of. So how freaking OP is that after everything else that Cage ate in this match?
Oh, do we think Pentagon's going to kick out of the Wrath of the Gods? Even if
Pentagon, yeah, as I keep calling him after this training, Pentagon 2.0, yeah, I think he will kick out of Wrath of the Gods. I do.
Oh, man.
Dude, this freaking match, though. Like, I even tweeted at Cage and at Jeff Cobb, the guy that does play Matanza, that was a world title match. I was so freaking proud of both of those guys because that was just so much fun. And again, the action never stopped. I really don't feel like this match really had a slow moment or a lull in it, or either that, or I was just so thoroughly engrossed I didn't register any lull moments, It's just unbelievable the effort these two guys put in. I can't get over that Cage did a Hurricane Rana, and just the suplexes these guys were trading with each other. This, just incredible, guys. I mean, this is a match I may have to go beyond the rewatch that you and I do, Ashton, and just watch this over and over. Like, this just has that replayability to me. I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm looking forward to watching it tonight again for sure.
All right, with that said, do you have any other remarks you want to make about this match?
Oh, man. I don't know if I have anything left to say. What can you say after a match like that, right?
So good, dude. So good.
All right, let's move on.
All right, high spots and low shots. You know what? My low shot is let me think. My low shot's gonna be Daga, actually. Because he loses a match against Son of Havoc. He could have really used that win, build up his single stature. And that was with assistance. He still couldn't pull out the win, so that's kind of demoralizing. And then the assistance he got, he didn't even want, and he may have more problems than he'll know what to deal with Cobra Moon. So yeah, Daga's my low shot.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. I think my low shot's going to have to be Prince Puma, though, because as great of a showing as he had in the match while it was happening, he cost his team the match. And the thing is, if you would have done something to get the other team disqualified, where maybe you get the ref to notice that they're using these low blows, you probably would have gotten a rematch, because if the other team gets disqualified, you win. But because the ref saw him do the low blow and got his own team disqualified, they're not going to get a rematch. And then he couldn't even get that pound of meat that he was looking for because Ray was holding him back.
Exactly.
It was a rough night for Puma. It was a rough night for Azteca Jr. too, and he would have been a pretty good low shot too, I think. But Puma, man, just a rough night.
Yeah, man, Puma definitely on that slippery slope. High spot, I'm just going to be straightforward, Matanza. Like, that was one hell of a title defense, and he's still the man. And not only that, but again, going back to Mount Lucha's tweet, which really illuminated to me something important, not only is Matanza freakish, you could almost say godlike, in power, the guy's freaking sentient. Like, he has an intelligence, like, oh, here's my opening, let me capitalize. And if that doesn't horrify you and make you think twice before you go to sleep at night, I don't know what does. So Matanza's my high spot.
Yeah, I'd say that makes a lot of sense.
Who do you got?
My high spot is the aerial assholes.
Yes! Oh my god. I'm glad you picked them, because me doing it would have been so obvious. But I'm glad they got the recognition they deserved.
Yeah, they're so good. Like, that entrance tonight and their new attire as a team is just legendary.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh, man. All right, dude. Do you have any concluding remarks you want to say about this week's Lucha Underground?
I don't think so, man. This was a really quality show, and I don't even know if there are going to be what any of the matches are next week. So I don't even know what to look forward to, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. What a spectacular episode of Lucha Underground tonight. But with that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-war and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Yeah, just to rewind a little bit, what do you guys think is going to happen with this whole Daga Cobra Moon thing?
There you go. All right, guys, give your end games for this storyline down in the comments. Talk to us. Be sure to take that conversation over to Tweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. Said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Lucha Underground fans grow there by the week. So if you're looking for something to talk about, all things Lucha, that may be the place to do it. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW Facebook page. Like, share, and comment on the content there. If Facebook isn't your medium of choice, we are also on Reddit. At the TWitWoW subreddit, you can find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the subreddit can create threads of their own on all things related to pro wrestling. However, for the best possible TWitWoW experience, I highly recommend you follow both of us on Twitter. I am at John_TWitWoW, that is JOHN_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404, that's the letter A, pond, the body of water, POND 404. And we will see you again for our NXT review, where Elias Sampson will have the chance to give a concert to the greatest man that ever lived, Austin Aries, and more than likely take a punch in the mouth doing it. You'll get all your best coverage of NXT here at TWitWoW, but until then, tune in and peace out.